Well, if you've been keeping up with my videos, I guess you realize that pissed off all the men because I tell them they can't kill me. Pissed off all the women because of my viewpoints of women. And now I'm going to piss off the rest of you with telling you my viewpoint against religion, and mainly Christianity. That's mostly what I'm familiar with. And so, one second. In short, I find it amazing things that come out of a Christian's mouth. And if a psychiatrist were in the area, he'd have a heyday. The problem is I'm sure that these psychiatrists have heard these people, and somehow they are sane, and I am the crazy one. So I'm going to explain a little bit more about this, but that's the general synopsis. You got her shirt on. It says, "Praise Jesus for allowing me to sin." Is that Creekside? I go there occasionally for a meal, and the lady's like, she's making fun. You're not supposed to sin, and a lot of times when I wear this shirt, it is actually I was telling her that it's interesting that most people are well received with this shirt. They go, "Yay, he's a Christian. He believes his sins forgiven. Yay." She's one of the few that are, have this notion that I'm mocking what you're doing, and which is kind of what I'm doing. I'm at least provoking thought. I mean, who would think that sin is forgiven? I mean, that you could just do whatever you want and you're forgiven. And she's saying that you can't do that. I'm like, but I've talked to some people, Mike from Smallville, and this is some other people, and this is the way it is. You can commit murder, you can break the Ten Commandments and still be forgiven. I mean, that is, you're not supposed to do it, but if you do believe in Jesus Christ and have been accepted, then you're forgiven. And I just think it's a ludicrous system, which is not based on any reality, because in reality, if you commit any sins, you're not forgiven. You go to prison, or you get a ticket, and that's another thing. What is a sin? And I've heard so many things, from the simplest of stuff to the more major stuff. It's confusing. What's a sin? And nobody really has an explanation for it. It's kind of like whatever you think. I said, well, if you think that sin's forgiven, you think that whatever you do is forgiven, and it's basically a license to sin. And I think that is really weird. It's not. So that same lady I was talking to about sin, and she's like, you're not supposed to sin. I'm like, well, so have you sinned today? She goes, well, I think so. And I go, well, if you're condemning me for saying that you're not supposed to sin, then why the heck are you sinning? If you're not supposed to, then she goes, well, that's because there's natural sin and there's the unnatural. It's like there's two types of sins, and one of them is like natural, and that one's that's okay. And evidently there's another one. I don't even know what she said, but that's not okay. And so and this is amazing. I hear all kinds of things. You go to any Christian, you'll hear they got the same book, I guess. It's called the Bible, but you get a completely different version of what's going on. It's kind of like you say something into one ear and it goes around the table of 10 people, and it comes back around the table completely different. It's kind of that same principle. Everybody's got their own thing about what it is, and they reference this one thing called the Bible, but it's not poorly written, and it makes it unsure of what's actually going on. I tell this lady that I don't believe in an afterlife. I believe that this is it here. This is what we have on the planet, and I say that heaven right now on this planet is for people who are rich, because they not only for the rich, but it's mainly for the rich who have enough money to be able to live a nice life. Those, and I'm not going to say a certain value, a dollar value associated with being rich, because some people are rich with a little bit of money. I mean, are happy with a little bit of money. But it seems like money is what it takes. And so she says, well, how are you going to make heaven? I said, well, I need to get rich and maybe help out others get rich too, you know. And she takes it later, she laughs a little bit, and then I bring up the fact that, I'm having a little trouble making that happen, She's like, well, I'm glad you pointed that out. Yeah, the way she said it, well, I'm glad you pointed that out. It's like she's not only emphasizing that, yes, I am a peon still, but she's almost like in a hope that I continue to be a peon, so that I cannot help the world. And this is coming from a lady who's working in the loaves and fishes, where she helps out people get a free meal. So I am trying to. This is ironic. I mean, she's almost hinting that she hopes that I don't succeed in helping out the world, and yet she is doing that same thing in this free meal thing for the people who are not well off. So it's you meet them all. You meet people are confusing. And she wouldn't have been the first one to give me that impression that they're very happy that I'm in the hole that I am. It is odd, this notion that this concept in which to help other people out, sort of being philanthropy, and the hint that they're glad that I'm in the hole I am, so that I cannot help out the world. And coming from a person, this notion coming from a person who is helping others out, I don't understand the hypocrisy in it. Let me give you some of the crazy stuff that's associated with Christianity. 1 second.
Well, there's Noah's Ark, where you got the world's flooded, the whole world, every piece of land available is flooded. You got the most famous one where sin is forgiven, and yet it's really not really effective until you die. You're forgiven in another world, in the world of like Unreal or something, where you can but it basically doesn't count for the real life laws. It just counts for like the Unreal, where when you die, then that's when it becomes effective. So it really makes things really easy to understand in real life. It's very confusing. A fruit of knowledge, where you pluck some fruit from a tree and it creates sin, and that's what created sin. Adam created sin, and Jesus allows us to be able to sin and be forgiven at the same time. So, yeah, Earth is only 10,000 years old. Yeah. It is odd how Christians believe in heaven after death, and yet when somebody dies close to them, they are really ticked off at God for taking them away. It's like, should be happy that they've gone to heaven, Very, very confusing. Oh, then the preacher, what they should be doing is helping everybody get to heaven by shooting the congregation. Of course, they can't commit suicide, so you just bring in somebody with an Uzi and take them out, a hitman that takes them out, kills them all, and make sure they're all saved before this. You're saved, okay, now die, and they shoot them all, and then it helps go to heaven. That would make sense, but no, that's not what they're doing though. I think it's because even Christians don't believe half the stuff they're reading. Videotapes of UFOs and crop circles are all fake. They're all fake, and we have no video of Jesus, and yet we're supposed to believe some of these words in some book in which there's been 1,000 revisions and everybody's own version is right. If you talk to all the different denominations of Christianity, they're all right, and everybody else is wrong. Yeah. I've listed the rest on this on the website. Describes the hypocrisy and the what they call as common sense of Christianity. So I could talk for hours on this stuff, but it just kind of gets me confused, and yet they call me the crazy one. Someday I'm going to be able to find a church that's going to believe what I believe, and that is that we're going to believe in reality, and that we're going to be putting heaven here on earth, because there is no proof of heaven, and that's another crazy thing that the Christians think. They think that heaven exists, I am looking forward to putting heaven here on earth through godly powers, and so it could take a little while, but it's taking a little while for people to get accustomed to the notion of godly powers, and then it might take another few hundred years after that, and hopefully I'm still living at that point. If I'm immortal like I think I am, I get to the point where we're using godly powers to do wonderful things and travel interplanetary systems and Star Trek and all that wild stuff. It's I find a church that doesn't that the big one is I have a problem with Christianity is the sin is forgiven. I don't like a system that thinks that you can just sin and it's okay because you're forgiven. I want a system that says that you shouldn't sin at all and don't ever sin again. You make mistakes, yeah, but try not to sin ever, and you're not really forgiven, but you will be judged at Judgment Day before the gates of heaven and hell. And that's a system that I've heard about in cartoons, mostly cartoons, because most of the Christianity they don't talk about much about judgment. They talk a little bit about judgment. They also say that that you're going to be forgiven. So I don't understand this concept in which you can be judged, and yet if you believe in Jesus, if you've been accepted, then you get to be forgiven. So it seems like an oxymoron. It seems like a conundrum of puzzles of what's the purpose of judgment if you're forgiven, right? So I like the judgment portion. I don't think you should be forgiven. You should be judged on your sins. And if you weren't caught, if you were committing crimes and you weren't caught, now you get judged for those and you go to jail, or where, in real life it's jail. It's not sort of a version of hell. That's what hell is in prison. So that's I think it's called purgatory in the Catholic faith, but it just makes sense. I mean, it's the real life. This is my system. It's based on the real life current laws set up. Sins are the current laws for me. And if I were to actually state a religion that's very close to me, it is no religion. It is current life that exists on this planet without religion. That's my church, and so that's why I really don't look for churches anymore. But maybe that's why there's not much advocacy of church and Christianity on the network TVs and stuff, because Christians will say that's some kind of conspiracy, but I believe it's just they understand that it's ludicrousy what we're seeing in this Christianity. They understand it's not real life, and I think we're all. I think this is no surprise what you're hearing here on this video. It's all. It seems to be a charade. It's amazing that there's a large percent of people that believe in Christianity, and the sin is forgiven thing. Really odd, really odd. When you think about reality, that sins aren't forgiven in reality. You get a ticket, you go to jail, all that kind of stuff. I mean, if you want to think that swearing is a sin, I mean, seek a psychiatrist, because I mean, there's a lot more to be worrying about than a stupid swear word or farting or masturbating or whatever the heck they consider a sin. If it's against the law, that seems to make sense. That would be a sin. That's what I consider to be a sin. So, one day I'll find a church. If not, then looks like real life is my church. So anyway, that's my take on religion, and I'll maybe post some more stuff later.